Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while. Anyways, no. Today we're getting back to the 9.5 project. As you can basically tell, this has been a fun road. Started it with the channel 3 years ago-ish. And it's basically still in the same shape that it was when I left it last. Forgive me, I'm sweating. Tavarish can tell you all about that. Unlike him, I don't have an air-conditioned little shop. I get to work out in the sun. Speaking of which, I'm up by Site B. Fun. But anyways, so basically the subframe has been out of this car for the better part of 3 years. I've actually sold the engine that was in it, the V6, and I'm actually going in a different direction with it. I have a swap planned, which you'll get to hear more about by the end of the video. In actuality, I have the subframe over off camera, and I've been working on it, and I'd like to show it. It basically sat in the mud for 3 years, and now it's just covered in dirt and mud and so forth. So let's take a look at it, and at the end of the video I will show you what I'm planning for the swap. It's kind of interesting. As you can see, I've already started prepping this. I've got it a little elevated so that I can keep some of the more cavernous portions of it out of the ground. The pains of working on the ground, actually, as fun as that is. Anyways, so it was filled with mud. I rinsed all of that out. I'm going to take a wire brush on the end of a drill, go through this. I've already started on that side. You can see it's nice and shiny and so forth on that side. I got to do this side, and then I'm going to paint it with some rust-proofing paint. And it should be nice and pretty and done when I get done with it. Well, hopefully it's done when I get done with it. And that will keep it from rusting even any further than it already has. I got to take a tack cloth to it with some alcohol, get rid of all the... I sprayed oil on it so it wouldn't rust overnight because I started this last night. But anyways, so to continue with that. Okay, so I rearranged everything here to give myself a little bit better access to it and to support it better. Doing anything with one hand gets infinitely harder. I'm just going to rub this down with some isopropyl alcohol to clean the dirt and dust and everything off of it. Get rid of the water, any last remaining vestiges of surface corruption. You can already see there's a lot on there still. A flat surface, when you're working one-handed, a flat surface is like a godsend. It allows you to put anything down without worrying about it running off, rolling off, getting put into the wrong place. I put 2 coats of was essentially rust blaster onto this to make sure it didn't rust overnight. Did a reasonably good job actually of it. The whole point of this was to take it down where it was exceptionally rusty before and get rid of a lot of that rust and make it new again, sort of. There's water in here from where I blasted this thing with water earlier today, I should say. Now I do know that this is not the proper way to prep a surface for paint. Okay, in fact I plan on painting the car when I get done with this swap, and we'll go over that when I hit that spot in the cycle. But for now, this is down and dirty, as Adam Savage would say, quick and dirty, that sort of thing. I'm just getting the dust and the dirt and the debris and everything off of this so that I can paint it. And it'll look reasonable. I'm not going for end of the world. This is going to be a usable daily car, and the result is that I want something that gives me a usable daily finish. I'm not going to show this. I'm not going to have judges going around with little mirrors looking at the subframe going, he didn't paint it. Why didn't he paint it? No. Basically, I'm just using a little bit of Duplicolor. Which I can't get the top off of at the moment. That's not good. So I've got the second coat of paint on here. It's looking really good. I just have to let this dry, and then I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to paint the other side a little rougher than I painted this. I know I painted this already a little bit rough, but okay. Anyways, I'm sorry for the audio quality. I had to change over to my shotgun mic because my lavalier mic kind of like died. But anyways, so we've got this. Next comes pushing out the bushings, which I'll probably have to do tomorrow. That'll be an instant cut for you. Doesn't work as well with gloves. Anyway, so basically a lot's happened since the first part of the snap to the other half of the snap. It's like a movie, I know. Anyways, so after I finished the bottom half of the subframe, painting it and all that sort of stuff, I got like 3 days worth of nonstop rain. I managed in the little bits and pieces of time between raining to get the top half painted to my satisfaction, but that gave me some time to order a place to actually work. So I have a workbench in this, and we're going to set it up and then we're going to continue. And now for the satisfying peel. He said hoping that this actually works and that this isn't one of those stupid ones that doesn't like to peel. Well, that was more trouble than it should have been, but hey, who cares? Now, to get the subframe onto that, and hope it holds. This is gonna be fun.
You want me to go on the other side and catch?
No, I think I got it. Okay. So, there we go. That wasn't tiring at all. So, let's see. It looks like these get pushed out the top here. So, let's get a bearing push and push those out. Okay, so I had to quit last night because I lost the light. But I did manage to get this one pressed out and this one pressed out. Problem is that this one worked just fine, pressed out, came out completely like it's supposed to. This one broke. My fault, I pushed it out the wrong way, and now there is a collar stuck in there. I'm going to get the others pressed out, and then I'm going to come back to this one and hopefully get it all sorted. Okay, so after much trial and error, I have actually, let me adjust the brightness here a bit. Okay, I've actually managed to get all of the bushings but one out. Okay, we're going to go around the other side here. Okay, it's not easy, and I'm going to show you the actual process. Okay, just give me a second. Okay, so here's the last bushing that's left in. They are rusted in place, by the way. Before, I was taking this 27 and putting it on what remains, but I've actually got a better press now. So basically what I'm doing is taking a set of vice grips and the first portion is just twisting the bushing. Getting the bushing into the vise of the grips here. Okay, and we're going to twist and rock until it starts to come apart, basically. Now, this is the first one that I've had that has not just started to fall apart, which figures. Don't need that hitting the ground. Okay, so that gets the center of the bushing out. Okay, and gives us a little lip here to press against. It does not, they don't want to come out. I've been using trying to get, because these are all rusted really well in place. One of the great benefits of letting this sit out for so long is that they're rusted in place pretty well. As I said, I was just using this. is out. Now, to press the bushings, the new ones, back in. Okay, so after a little trial and error, I've got a good way of using the tools at my disposal to get these bushings in. Okay, so you'll notice that I've already got this one in. I've got the 3 on that side basically in, and I've come up with a little bit of a kind of trick to do this. So follow with me if you can. There, I'm going to be doing these 3, but I'm probably only going to show this one on camera because it's the same basic process for all 3. The only difference is that this one requires a cup on the bottom because there is no, these 2, front and back, have a sort of recess for the bearing rate, for the bushing. Okay, this one doesn't. That is the only difference. It requires a cup. I use the press cup that goes underneath it. Okay, but other than that, it's pretty simple. I'm going to show you this back one, and hopefully it's pretty easy. There is a YouTube channel from OG Saab parts, I think it is, that shows how to do this on the car. I don't have that option because I'm going to be doing a few more things to this subframe and to the car itself before I put the subframe back in. As a result, I'm trying to get these in with it out of the car, which is unfortunate because this would actually be a little easier with it in the car, or at least with the ability to put it in the car. They show taking the casing out the same way that I did, basically pulling the center out of it, and then they cut that bushing seat out, tap it out, and throw a new one in. So without further delay, we're going to reset the camera so that you can see what I'm doing here. And hopefully I don't drop things too much because that has been a trend for this entire build so far. And I'm not that far into it. Well, that's it. The bushings are in. This needs a little bit more prep before I can put it in the car. The front two mounts, there are mounts that for the radiator and intercooler and so forth that go on the front here, but I want to put another coat of paint across the front before I do that. The next video will cover putting that paint on, putting those two mounts, and then putting in new mounts, new bushings and new mounts for the lower control arms. At which point this will be ready then to go back in the car. And then I'll get to put the new, I'll get to talk about the new transmission a little bit more. But I am going to show you what the new transmission is. Under this tarp is the new engine and transmission. Let me get you off the tripod and we can pull that off. That's right. I'm going a Turbo 4 with this car. And as funny as it sounds, this is a much newer Turbo 4 than you would have found in this car in any other application. This is an LNF out of a Cobalt SS, and that is a transmission from a Cobalt SS. It's the non-LSD version, unfortunately. I got a really good deal on it and decided to take it instead of getting the LSD, but in the future they're interchangeable, so I can get the right one. Now, keen-eyed of you might notice that I have already bolted the mounts from the 9.5 to this transmission. Okay, the front one bolts just fine. Okay, the top one has an issue I'll talk about in just a second, and the back one, well, it bolts just fine as well. The same mounts are used across all three, across the different transmissions, so this bolts right in, literally bolts right into the stock location that the transmission that came out of the car would have bolted into. Okay, the only issue is this arm right here. Now you'll notice that this arm right here mounts to a different location on the stock transmission than it does on the current one. I'm going to shave that down, make a new mount, make a new hole, and bolt it up, and then these two bolts bolt in to the stock location, which means that this mount will bolt right in. Okay, other than that, I want to encourage you to like and subscribe if you're into this kind of malarkey with Saabs, and please leave me a comment if you have any suggestions or just want to give me feedback on how silly or stupid this idea is. Go ahead. See ya.